And an assistant principal at a Charlotte-Mecklenburg school have been suspended. This new development just confirmed to WBTV late this afternoon.
And this comes after an investigation into how those administrators handled a reported sexual assault. And WBTV's chief investigative reporter Nick Oxner is joining us live from Turning Point Academy with the latest details. Nick?
Yeah, John, the principal and an assistant principal here at Turning Point Academy have both been suspended, I'm told, just days after I asked for the employment status of those two administrators and administrators at two other schools, all three of which have been the subject of WBTV investigations just in the last few months about how those schools handled reported cases of sexual assault. Dr. Camarcus Lockhart is the principal here at Turning Point Academy, and Dr. Tyrone Freeman is the assistant principal. Both were suspended with pay on Friday, according to a new statement I got this afternoon from CMS Vice Chairwoman Stephanie Sneed. The move comes just weeks after both Sneed and newly appointed CMS Superintendent Dr. Crystal Hill said there would be accountability for administrators who mishandled reports of sexual assault.
And as I said earlier, anyone who does not follow processes, I hold them accountable. So the vote today means that there is confidence that there will be a system of accountability that will continue and broaden, and that we have to get it right, and that we have to hold the superintendent to get it right as well. I'm confident that that will happen.
So, the start of what appears to be accountability for the two administrators involved in the most recent case we reported on, but still no consequences for the administrators who failed to properly report or handle the other two sexual assault cases we told you about this year, both involving 5-year-old girls. Personnel information produced by the district last week show no disciplinary action against any of the principals or assistant principals at those two other schools. So, what does the new superintendent, Dr. Crystal Hill, have to say about all this? Why haven't any administrators at those other two schools faced similar disciplinary action as those at Turning Point? Well, we don't know. Both Dr. Hill and her comms department have ignored multiple emails from me since Tuesday asking for a comment for her to explain herself. We'll continue pressing. For now, reporting live in Northwest Charlotte, Nick Oxner, WBTV, on your side.
And all new at 6, the state is not seeking the death penalty.